Usato is stuck at school in the pouring rain after someone steals his umbrella. As he waits, Suzune and Kazuki, two popular student council members, offer him a spare umbrella. Usato assumes they're dating, but they're simply walking home together. On the way, Suzune admits she feels like she doesn't belong in this world, and Usato quietly relates. Suddenly, bells ring and a magic circle appears beneath their feet. The three students are transported to another world and brought before the King of Linger, who summoned them as potential heroes. They're tested for magical aptitude. Suzune has thunder magic, Kazuki has rare light magic, but when Usato touches the orb, it glows green, shocking everyone. He's immediately separated from the others. A woman named Rose enters, an intimidating commander, and when Usato asks about the green light, the king panics and orders her to keep him safe. Instead, Rose bursts the bubble he's trapped in and drags him away. She reveals the truth. Usato has the aptitude for healing magic, and she intends to train him personally. The king warns that Rose's methods are extreme. Usato is taken to his new quarters, where 5 men try to intimidate him before Rose announces his first task, to burn his new ability into his brain through brutal training. Usato wakes up and reminds himself he's now living in another world. Rose gives him a journal to record everything he learns, then immediately begins his brutal training, starting with teaching him to sense the magic inside his body. Her first order: run until he physically can't move. Later, she hands him a history book of Linger, and Usato discovers he can read the foreign language naturally. Day after day, Usato runs until he collapses. At first, Rose heals him, but soon he awakens his own healing magic and begins restoring himself, allowing him to push his body far beyond normal limits. When Suzune and Kazuki visit, they're shocked to find Usato doing push-ups with a concrete block and Rose on his back. A knight criticizes Rose's extreme methods, but she proudly declares she's training Usato to become her right-hand man. Later, Usato meets Princess Celia during a picnic and is complimented on his rapidly developing physique. Finally, Rose drags him outside the castle to a dangerous forest known as the Darkness of Linger. She tells him not to return until he has hunted down a grand grizzly. Usato protests, so Rose simply throws him into the forest to begin his next trial. After a crash landing, Usato immediately encounters a grand grizzly and 2 blue grizzlies, Papa, Mama, and Cub, that chase him down. He escapes into a river and begins the hunt in earnest the next day. He uses his magic to heal an injured rabbit monster that ends up following him around. It can seemingly understand what he's saying and leads him to the grand grizzly's den, where the same bears that chased him before make their home. Usato waits to attack, encountering a massive white serpent in the meantime. When he finally works up the will to kill the grizzly, he finds the 2 adults killed, likely from the serpent, from a few days prior. Unwilling to overlook that the serpent killed not for food, but out of malice and out of sympathy for the now orphaned cub, he leaves to avenge its family. Sometime later, the rabbit leads him to the serpent, where he finds the cub trying to battle it. Although wounded and poisoned by the snake's venom, Usato nearly defeats it and is rescued by Rose in the end when she crushes its skull under her boots. He also learns the rabbit is her pet and has been watching over him. Usato has passed her test, and the cub becomes Usato's new companion. The time for battle with the Demon Lord's army draws very near, and Rose informs Usato he'll be on the front lines with her healing the wounded. The blue grizzly cub, whom Usato has named Blurrin, joins in on Usato's training. His role is to be carried on Usato's back to simulate wounded soldiers while he continues his running routine. While running through town carrying Blurrin, Usato also learns more about the rescue team's somewhat infamous reputation, and meets Orga Fleur, one of the team's healers, who helps Usato understand the significance of having a healer on the front lines. Usato makes his way to the castle to visit Inukami and Kazuki, but Kazuki is on a training excursion in the Darkness of Linger. After a pleasant chat with Inukami, and a failed attempt on her part to pet Blurrin, Usato finds his resolve and shares a moment with Rose. Per the king's request, Usato joins Inukami, along with Knight Aruku and a mage, on her training mission in the forest and brings Blurrin along. The cub dislikes everyone but him, so he can't be left with the rescue team. On the outskirts of the forest, bandits attack the group. The battle is interrupted by stampeding boar monsters, and Usato and Inukami get separated from the others, the force of the attack sending them flying into the river and over a waterfall. Finding themselves in the same area Usato had crash-landed in previously, they make camp in a cave for the night. Kazuki learns they went missing and tries to go after them, but is stopped by Rose, who proudly proclaims that if Inukami is with Usato, they'll be fine. That night, Usato and Inukami discuss if they want to go home to Japan or not. They reunite with the others the next day, led by Blurren, who had followed Usato's scent. After the king apologizes for allowing Usato and Inukami to get lost, Kazuki reprimands Usato for his blasé attitude about going missing, then gets some reassurance from Celia. Back in the king's throne room, Rose and Siglis are informed that the bandits that attacked the party in the forest were from the grasslands, where creatures, like the boars, are fleeing their natural habitats, indicating the demon army's imminent return. Rose is ordered to do some reconnaissance and find their exact location. The king also requests that Rose rejoin the armed forces and lead Linger's army as she did in the past, which she declines, revealing more of her past. In addition, she makes mention of wanting and searching for a subordinate who will never die, naming Usato as this subordinate. Rose finds the demons building a bridge into human territory and destroys it by hurling a tree into it. Delivering a letter from Rose to Orga at the town's clinic, Usato meets Orga's younger sister Ururu, who is also a healer, and tells Usato about her and Orga's experiences with Rose. Later, Usato gets some hands-on training by healing some injured civilians. Amako, a fox beastkin, stops Usato in the street and shows him a vision of the future where Inukami and Kazuki are killed in battle. Usato tries to find the fox girl to ask about the vision, without success. When Rose returns to the city from her patrol, Usato learns from her that the Demon Lord's army is coming. Then she reports to the king. Inukami and Kazuki are briefed and told to prepare. That night, Kazuki visits Usato, admitting that he's terrified of war, and Usato comforts him. Kazuki finds his own resolve after talking it out with Usato, and Inukami overhears the entire conversation after having followed Kazuki to check on him. The next day, the king informs his army and the people about the impending invasion. Kazuki visits Celia and vows to come back. As the rescue team prepares for departure, Blurren reaffirms that he only likes Usato when he refuses to let Ururu pet him, and the rest of the rescue team readies for war. Rose explains to Usato how she and he will operate on the field, and he receives an official rescue team uniform. Rose ends her briefing by drilling into Usato that the worst thing one can do on the battlefield is forget the value of their own life. As Linger's forces make their way to the battlefield, Rose flashes back to 2 years ago when she was still a knight. Her first team is introduced and their fateful mission is recounted, starting slow and uneventful as a scouting of demon activity in the darkness of Linger. Rose and her deputy commander all have a heart-to-heart, and Usato's similarities to all are revealed. The next day, the team continues their recon mission and encounters demons hunting monsters in human territory as part of some hidden scheme. Rose tries to get them to leave peacefully, but the situation devolves when the demons attack. Rose goes after the leader, Nero Argents, shocking him with her strength, speed, and healing magic. As the flashback continues, Rose's team battle the demons whilst Rose continues her battle with Nero. Nero unleashes a cursed blade and some kind of dark magic that turns the tide of the battle, making the other demons stronger, immune to their own pain, and willing to sacrifice their own lives without hesitation. One of Rose's squad is killed, shocking and discouraging the others, causing the rest to be killed as well in short order. Rose loses her composure and, as a consequence, suffers a wound to her right eye, which can't be healed because the damage was inflicted by a cursed item. Just as Nero strikes a killing blow at Rose, All jumps in front of her and takes it herself. Using her grief and rage, Rose overpowers Nero. Before she can kill him, a younger Emila rescues him. Rose is emotionally unable to give chase and, unable to heal All, can only hold her in her arms as the girl dies. Later, Rose debriefs the king and requests to be demoted, mourning her team and blaming herself. After about a month, Rose recovers enough to decide to create the rescue team. Back in the present, she commends Usato for his accomplishments, although his semi-snarky replies earn him correction. At the base camp, Usato wakes early and runs into Inukami, who seems far too excited for a battlefield. Kazuki rescues him from her fangirl moment and takes her to meet with Siglis. Sometime later, the battle begins. Usato, Rose, Orga, and Ururu remain at the camp to tend the wounded, while the other team members bring them back from the front. Another giant white serpent appears on the battlefield, as does the Black Knight, who can't be harmed due to their unique reflection magic. After Rose and Usato finally go into battle, she gives Usato one last piece of advice before they separate to cover more ground and begin healing the wounded. Inukami and Kazuki run into the Black Knight, and the vision of the two dying at the Black Knight's hands suddenly replays in Usato's mind, causing him immense pain. The two heroes make a valiant effort but fall prey to the Black Knight's reflection magic. The episode begins with a flashback to Japan from Inukami's perspective, where she remembers meeting Usato for the first time and getting to know him in their new world. On the battlefield, Usato arrives just in time to save her and Kazuki, landing a punch on the Black Knight and damaging their armor. The Black Knight, who is revealed to be a female, is furious at being hit and actually injured. She chases Usato as he tries to get his friends to safety, and Usato eventually takes her on himself so he can get to the other wounded soldiers. The reflection magic appears useless against Usato's healing magic, giving him the upper hand. After a quick but fierce battle, the Black Knight's armor is destroyed by his ultimate healing punch, knocking her unconscious. He then tends to the wounded and the demon army breaks, preventing more injuries. Meanwhile, the White Serpent is still wreaking havoc, and the healed Inukami and Kazuki take on the serpent and kill it. After Emila learns of the Black Knight's defeat, she orders the demons to retreat. Rose and Usato head back to camp, and Rose commends Usato for saving the heroes, defeating the Black Knight, and especially for coming back to her alive before he collapses from overexertion. After returning from battle and being officially commended, Usato is summoned back to the castle, getting mobbed in town by grateful citizens on his way there. At the castle, the king requests that he speak to the Black Knight, who refuses to divulge information unless she can meet with Usato. Inukami tags along with him and Siglis as they make their way to the knight's cell. After learning from Siglis that dark magic and healing magic basically cancel each other out, Usato realizes that none of the damage he inflicted on the Black Knight healed, and she's likely in critical condition. He heals her properly, causing her to weep from his magic's warmth. Later, Rose begins training Usato in dodging attacks, since healing injuries caused by cursed weapons is impossible, meaning that he needs to practice how to properly avoid being hit. He complains about his harsh training to the Black Knight, whom he has been visiting regularly. Rose meets with the king and, under his orders, offers the Black Knight a choice: rot in a cell or be trained by her as part of the rescue team. Not really much of a choice, since Rose takes her by force anyway after sealing her dark magic away. Rose informs Usato that he, Inukami, and Kazuki will soon be tasked by the king with delivering official missives to neighboring territories, asking for aid against the demon lord. Later, while in town with Inukami, Usato spots and catches up with Amako, who tells him her mother needs his help. Usato and Inukami talk to Amako at Rescue Team HQ. Amako reveals that she left Beastskin territory 2 years ago to find a healer, as humans are the only ones capable of wielding healing magic, and it can only be Usato since he is a healer and a fighter. Usato decides to use the diplomatic mission as an excuse to go to Beastskin territory and save Amako's mother. Apparently, Beastskin value their oracles of time, in this case, Amako, so escorting her back to her people is good diplomatically. Later, Usato learns the Black Knight's name is Felm, gifting her a diary to write in while she's training, and she spies on his personal training with Rose. He's progressing, albeit slowly, and she is horrified by the nature of the training. Later, the king thanks Amako for giving Usato the vision and thereby saving the kingdom, giving Usato his blessing to help her, and that he'll be delivering the king's missive to 4 territories on the way to Beastkin territory. Usato requests Saruku to be one of his special escorts and Blur in another. Elsewhere, Rose catches up to Felm, who, after learning about Usato's mission, had run away intending to tag along with him secretly. Rose gives Usato some final advice and tells him she believes in him. Everyone sets off on their journeys to see new nations and people,